is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
It's 6 o'clock and a Storm Team 6 alert day as everybody, no matter where you are here across central Indiana, is dealing with a dense fog advisory. Use caution as you take to the roadways.
The governor laying out his plan for the Hoosier State. Covering the State House, we're breaking down his plans for teacher pay and why Democrats say it's not enough.
Students at 3 Indianapolis schools, currently run by the state, will learn their school's future. We're live this morning with what a return to IPS could mean for students and teachers.
A lawsuit over infants' Tylenol ends with a multi-million-dollar settlement. We're working for you to explain what doctors say is safe to give your child.
And spring will be here before you know it, and you'll want to start those home improvement projects. We're laying out your best investments so you don't waste your money.
And it is 6 o'clock here on Wednesday, January 15th. Thanks for waking up early with us here on Good Morning Indiana.
You're going to have a hard time seeing when you head out the door today. It is so foggy out there. A lot of fog and many schools on delays, including Carmel, Noblesville, Anderson, Muncie, Franklin. At least 90 schools as of 6:01 this morning. So keep an eye on that ticker because the list continues to grow.
It does. And we're going to turn now to meteorologist Todd Clausen because, Todd, you're going to let us know when we can expect this fog to go away. I mean, there is so much of it out there right now.
Yeah, you know, it's going to be with us throughout the entire morning commute. So it's not going to be all of a sudden a front's going to come through. The fog is going to disperse. We're going to be dealing with this for at least the next couple hours. So that's why you have to use caution. A great idea by all those school systems to put the students on a delay because this fog isn't going anywhere. And really, it's very, very dense. It's one of the more dense fog mornings I've seen across the area in quite a while as the visibility is down below a quarter of a mile in many locations. So it's widespread. That's the other thing. It's not just a few localized communities here and there. Everybody across central Indiana is dealing with this fog this morning. And again, it's going to take several hours for us to get rid of it here across the area. That dense fog advisory is in place until 10 a.m. this morning. And then one of the other issues is temperatures are now falling below freezing in a few locations. So it could be a little bit of freezing fog in some areas. That means there could be a little bit of ice on your car, and there could be a few slick spots, mainly on bridges and overpasses, I think would be mainly affected by these temperatures falling below freezing. So just use caution no matter where you are this morning for your commute. We'll replace the fog with some showers as the day goes on. So throughout the morning hours, we deal with fog initially. By the noon hour, we're starting to deal with some patchy drizzle and a few showers. Temperatures moderate to about 46 degrees, though, by the noon hour. We'll talk more about the showers and the rest of today coming up in just a few minutes. But right now, we want to go out to the roadways with Storm Team 6 meteorologist Alyssa Donovan. Alyssa, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so right now we are heading southbound on I-65, and you can see we're actually seeing some clearer conditions. As we got out of the metro, we started to see some of clearing with this fog, but we are still seeing a little higher than just the roadway. So what's going on right now is we have that moisture trapped very close to the surface. That dew point is about the same as the temperature, which is why we are seeing this saturation of the air. That's why we are seeing this fog develop right now. As we head through the day, we are going to start to see that lift. But what's going on for your commute is we are seeing that dense fog. So as you head out this morning, be sure to use your low beams. Of course, we know that several schools have been delayed because of this fog. So that gives you an idea of just how dense it is. Doesn't look too bad where we are right now, but keep in mind you're going to need to give yourself a little bit of extra time as you head out on the roads. We are also keeping an eye on any air traffic to let you know if there are any flight delays due to these foggy conditions. You can see as we're getting out of some of these lights, we are starting to see some of that fog get a little bit more dense as we continue along I-65. So you can really see where that fog is developing across the metro area. And of course, we're going to keep an eye on this for you throughout the morning commute. I'll send it back to you in the studio.
Alyssa, thank you. Now, what you're seeing from Alyssa looks pretty good compared to what we're seeing around much of the area. Just look here on the west side at what you can't see, and that's the road, I-465 here and Rockville Road. So this is what you're going to see in most areas around central Indiana, which is why we have several of those major school districts in the Donut counties calling for a 2-hour delay this morning already. Let's take a look at our traffic traffic now map. The good news is we don't really have any crashes or delays to slow you down on the road, so you will have to slow down for the fog. From I-865 in the Dogleg to I-70 at the North Split, no delays, a 17-minute commute. But again, plan ahead for the fog as we get closer to the rush hour and traffic picks up. As Todd says, it will last through your morning commute, so give yourself that extra time.
Go slow this morning is the message. The time now is 6:05. Investing in the people of Indiana. That was the theme of Governor Eric Holcomb's fourth State of the State address. His agenda includes more job opportunities for people returning to the workforce from prison, creating the state's first adoption unit within the Department of Child Services, and taking steps to improve teacher pay.
I'm recommending that in the next budget, the General Assembly uses an additional $250 million from our surplus and put it toward teacher retirement funds. In turn, $50 million a year will be generated to redirect to teacher pay.
The governor says his plan would not take place until the 2021 legislative session. Now, the state's top education leader is speaking out this morning. Superintendent of Public Instruction Jennifer McCormick issuing this statement to RTV6, which in part says, while I appreciate the governor including the teacher compensation crisis in the State of the State address, I am disappointed Indiana continues to delay necessary action. She goes on to say students cannot afford to lose more great educators while Indiana decides if we can afford them.
The state has launched a new video to help families choose safe and reliable child care.
That's why the grown-ups at Indiana Family and Social Services Administration, or FSSA, created Child Care Finder. It's the first place to go when you're looking for responsible, reliable childcare right here in Indiana.
The Family and Social Services Administration created this instructional video on how to use Child Care Finder. It allows you to compare licensed and registered child care facilities near your home and work. FSSA says many people simply don't know how to find good child care, and they encourage parents to use this new tool. Before you send your child, plug in the provider's name into the state's Child Care Finder and look at inspection reports. Ask to see their license and ask about child to staff ratios. Once your child is enrolled, stop by unexpectedly at different times of the day, and keep in mind if a provider is unlicensed, they do not have to do background checks or CPR and safe sleep training.
Time now 6:07. The State Board of Education will decide today the future of 3 Indianapolis schools. Those schools are T.C. Howe and Manual High Schools plus Emma Donnan Middle School. It's a story RTV6 has been following since November when IPS expressed interest in getting those schools back in their district. Our Kelsey Anderson joins us live this morning with a closer look at today's vote. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Lauren. So yeah, that meeting today is at the Indiana State Library at 9 o'clock this morning. And that is where the school board will decide if those three schools can go back into the IPS school district. So there are several possible outcomes for today's vote, including the 3 schools are returned to IPS. They allow the Charter Schools USA, the current charter, to continue to operate the schools for another year without a charter, or they could close all 3 schools completely. Now, before the board makes their decision, IPS officials will have the opportunity to present their plan to integrate students from all 3 schools into the IPS district. Coming up in the next half hour, I'll take you over those plans for each school that they released earlier this month, and we've got it all in depth for you over on the RTV6 News app. Plus, we also have a link where you can watch that meeting this morning live stream. It's again over on the RTV6 News app. Reporting live, Kelsey Anderson, RTV6.
The time now is 6:08. We want to talk about the situation behind me. A former co-worker says she warned supervisors about a semi-truck driver accused of causing a deadly crash on Interstate 65. Matthew Small faces charges in connection to the wreck back on January the 5th that killed a young couple and a 1-year-old child. Robin Michelin, a truck driver of 20 years, says she worked with Small at a company in Grand Rapids last year. She says after he damaged equipment and received 2 violations, she raised concerns to management, saying, quote, "When we get drivers in here who don't care how they drive or how they treat the equipment, we don't need people like this driving for this company. Michelin says Small was eventually fired. You can read more about this new information and Small's history of driving infractions on the RTV6 app.
We're working for you and clearing up some confusion over infant and children's Tylenol. Johnson & Johnson recently agreed to a multi-million-dollar settlement after consumer claims of misleading packaging. Dr. Brian Wagers of Riley Hospital for Children says infants' Tylenol comes in different packaging than children's Tylenol. The class action lawsuit claims the packaging implies infants' Tylenol was uniquely formulated for infants, but in reality, both formulas have the same concentration of medicine. So what is safe for infants and children?
So the key thing with pediatrics when you're giving a medicine is to know what the weight of the patient is, and the dosages are always given in a weight-based format. So your pediatrician can provide that to you. If you need help with that, the pharmacist can help you with that as well. And if you flip that box over on the back, there are always dosing guidelines there that are based more on age and weight that you can use to get the appropriate amount of medication for your child at that point.
Johnson & Johnson denies any wrongdoing but has agreed to pay $6.3 million to consumers to settle the lawsuit. The company has also agreed to clarify the packaging by saying infants' Tylenol has the same concentration of medicine as children's Tylenol.
The big story this morning is the weather, but we're also keeping an eye on the House, expected to send articles of impeachment against the president to the Senate. New at 6:13, we're breaking down how the rest of the process is expected to play out.
And Penn State football is back in the spotlight. When we see you at 6:15, we'll break down the new lawsuit claiming coaches ignored repeated hazing allegations. Todd.
As you walk out the door this morning, no matter where you are in central Indiana this morning, you are walking out to a dense fog advisory. Give yourself some extra time. Lots and lots of school delays out there as well. Check those at the bottom of the screen and also on the RTV6 app. Temperatures in the 30s this morning. We'll replace the fog with some showers this afternoon. More on that coming up in your Storm Team 6 forecast. Time now is 6:11. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Flooring, floors to your home, that too.
It is 6:14. Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana on a foggy morning all across central Indiana. You can see the reduced visibility from two different views of the interstates this morning. Traffic still traveling up to speed. We have almost 100 school delays right now, so check the RTV6 app or the bottom of your screen before you send the kiddos out to the bus stop. Well, here's a look at what's expected to make headlines a little bit later today. The next steps in the impeachment of President Trump will likely move forward. The House is expected to vote to send the articles of impeachment against President Donald Trump to the Senate. Speaker Nancy Pelosi will then deliver those articles of impeachment to the Senate. This as top White House officials dealing with Congress insist President Trump have the option in the impeachment case to have the impeachment case dismissed. GOP leaders rejected a quick vote on this idea. Arguments in the impeachment trial will likely begin on Tuesday.
So the time now is 6:15. The Butler Bulldogs are one of two Big East teams with perfect conference records. And tonight, the other undefeated team, Seton Hall, pays a visit to the historic Hinkle Fieldhouse. Despite entering the season facing low expectations, the fifth-ranked Bulldogs have launched out to a 15-1 start. Go Dogs. Seton Hall enters tonight's game ranked 18th in this week's poll. Both teams carry a 6-game winning streak into this matchup. Tip-off for tonight's game is at 6:30. We'll have highlights of this big game tonight right here on the news at 11.
New on Good Morning Indiana, a former Penn State football player is now suing the university, a coach and a current player, for what he describes as an orchestrated campaign of hazing. The lawsuit claims sexual harassment, threats, and physical punishment as part of an initiation for new players into this program. According to court documents, players often made references to disgraced former Penn State assistant football coach Jerry Sandusky. The former player says after he reported this harassment, he was punished by the coaching staff and ultimately had to leave that university.
New this morning, the CDC says a vast majority of patients who suffered lung injury linked to vaping got their THC products outside of the commercial market. Health officials say patients usually receive those products from friends or online dealers. More than 2,600 people nationwide have been hospitalized with lung injury linked to vaping, and 57 people have died. CDC officials say they're not sure yet about the cause of the injury. They say one possible culprit is vitamin E acetate, that is, an additive used in some THC vaping products.
Wow, it is very foggy in central Indiana. It is a Storm Team 6 alert day. We all have our apps up and running. We can say that more than 101 schools in central Indiana are on delay. Also keeping an eye on the airport for you, Todd. Most flights are leaving. One flight to Toronto has just been delayed. So it's a mixed bag this morning as people are trying to get around and get out of Indianapolis.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of times with fog, we're talking about one area here, one area there, and then parts of the area are okay. Well, everybody's dealing with the fog this morning, no matter where you are. It's a little denser in some locations than others, but everybody is dealing with it, and that's why there's a dense fog advisory in effect until 10 o'clock this morning, and it's for almost the entire state of Indiana. There's just a few counties to the north that are not under the advisory as you get closer to Michigan, but virtually no visibility in Fishers. It's a half mile basically as you work your way up I-69 past the Fairmount area into the Gas City area. Flora at 3/10 of a mile, Frankfort 2/10 of a mile. As we slide down to the south, gets a little bit better as you work your way into the Shelbyville and Columbus area. Martinsville down to Bloomington, though, along Interstate 69, only a half mile visibility. So just use caution on the roadways. It does look like it's appearing to get a little bit better here in downtown Indianapolis, so that's good news. It's showing that the inversion that is out there, which is helping to contribute to this fog, is starting to break apart a little bit. One other concern, though, is the temperature. We've dipped below freezing now across the area. In many locations, you're at freezing in Lafayette, 30 in Crawfordsville, 33 in Indy, 30 as you work your way from Greenfield towards the Richmond area. So especially on some elevated surfaces, those bridges, the overpasses, none of the question with this fog, it could be in the form of freezing fog, and there could be a few slick spots out there. So you should be slowing down on the roadways because of the fog already, but just know as you come across some of those bridges and overpasses here throughout the morning drive that there could be an isolated slick spot or two. Temperatures, though, should warm above freezing pretty quickly here this morning, so that concern only lasts for maybe another hour or so. And then by the time we get to the noon hour, we're in the mid-40s. Temperatures climb into the 50s this afternoon. You see the rain icons because we're going to replace the fog with some showers. So it's definitely not the best weather day for us, even though it's going to be above normal with highs near 50 degrees. There's not a lot of precipitation heading our way, but there will be some patchy drizzle off and on throughout the day. There could be an isolated heavier shower that quickly moves through. And by the time we get to mid-afternoon, we're basically looking at that precipitation coming to an end. It's not a lot of precipitation, and it'll be in the form of rain, but nonetheless, it will be out there throughout the afternoon hours. Tomorrow, it's a brighter day. It's a colder day. Highs only in the 30s as we briefly return to winter. And then on Friday, we'll deal with a wintry mix in the afternoon and evening hours. And it's not out of the question for your evening drive, especially in northern locations. There could be some minor snow accumulation, but then eventually the warmer air will start to win out and everything will go over to all rain throughout the overnight hours. And we could see about an inch of rain again across the area on ground that's completely saturated, and that could lead to the potential or the return of some flooding across the area. We will not see conditions, though, like we saw last weekend when we picked up nearly 4 inches of rain. The other thing that jumps out at you on the 7-day planning forecast, the return of winter. Sunday, Monday, highs only in the 20s with low temperatures, Lauren, in the teens.
All right, Todd, thanks so much. Here is a look at the fog right now on I-69. This is a view near Campus Parkway, and you can see the reduced visibility there on the road, so you'll need to use caution. And as Todd said, it is a mixed bag all across the area. It doesn't matter if you're to the north, areas like Carmel, Hamilton, Southeastern, Lebanon. Those schools are delayed, as well as to the south, like Edinburgh, Martinsville, Mooresville. So no matter where you are, you need to check the RTV6 app for school delays, and also the bottom of your screen. It's impacting a number of those Donut County area schools. Let's take a look, though, from our live drive vehicle and check in with Alyssa Donovan. Alyssa, things don't look too bad where you are. I felt like I could barely see right in front of my car this morning. Where are you, and what are you seeing out there right now?
Yeah. So Right now we are on I-70 East, just approaching Emerson Avenue. And I will tell you, Lauren, that we are kind of going in and out of this dense fog where right around the metro area, around downtown Indianapolis, that's where we were seeing some of the heaviest fog. We drove along I-65 to the south and things started to clear out a little bit. And then just driving to the east right now, rather, we are starting to see that become a little bit more dense as we approach this area. And of course, this is a good time to be sure to give yourself a little bit of extra time as you head out on the roads this morning. Use your low beams because we are seeing some of that visibility reduced across central Indiana. Back to you guys.
Alyssa, thank you. We'll continue to track that fog for the rest of our morning. In the meantime, Indiana's two largest universities are bringing home honors this week when it comes to making online education better for people who need it. Online schools for both Indiana University and Purdue University rank high on the list of online MBA programs in the U.S. News and World Report. The IU Kelley School of Business held out at #1, and Purdue's College of Engineering online graduate programs were ranked 3rd, up 2 spots. Purdue's overall online engineering master's programs ranked only behind Ivy League schools Columbia and UCLA.
A set of Kansas twins celebrating their first birthday is new at 626, the birthday gift they'll never forget.
And one of the hottest musicals on Broadway heading right here to central Indiana, and we want to make sure you get to the theater. Coming up at 6:30, your chance to win tickets to see Come From Away at Clues Hall. That and much more coming up right here on Good Morning Indiana.
And Keller, right now.
Here at 6:25, it's now time for what is trending at 6. Now, I'm not sure if either of you ran for student body president or another role.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So what were some of the things that you promised the other students that you would get changed in the school?
I'm so embarrassed. I wanted to do a hip-hop club.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, that was big in the day.
All right. Well,
this
student has something a little bit different from the hip hop club. A student in Maryland who is president is keeping his issues in the toilet. The 14-year-old politician making an impassioned plea to get those in charge to go to 2-ply toilet paper.
That's important.
The newly elected student body president presenting to school board members with information that ditching the quote, sandpaper would cost $31,000, but so far the board seems to show support.
I think my hip-hop club was much more interesting.
Yes.
I was going to say.
I like that idea. Very creative. Okay, guys, a 44-year-old Japanese billionaire wants to find someone to love to the moon and back. According to his website, the fashion mogul wants to find a, quote, life partner. In his appeal for love, he says he would want a person to fly to space with him. If you're interested, you need to be at least 20 years old and have a bright and positive personality. The deadline to apply is Friday. Oh, bless his heart.
ABC is calling you could be the next Bachelor. We'll see what happens, right?
Yeah.
So twin brothers Jalen and Jordan Perry, they live in Kansas, and they're celebrating their first birthdays. Their gifts? Why not? Twin sisters. So meet Kaylee and Kylie. Their little family also has a big army of caretakers and babysitters ready to help. Mom Vanessa says her game plan is simple. Take it one day at a time, because we know she will not be sleeping for the next 18 years. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
A lot of
I'm sorry, but this is like the second story we've had within a week where a mom has given birth to 2 sets of twins within a year's time, which is just incredible to me. Because that is so unheard of. So, wow. Oh my gosh, incredible. All right, something also incredible, the amount of fog we have outside right now. I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this.
You know, and it's so widespread. That's the thing. It's not just patchy fog. This is widespread fog across the entire area. And your visibilities as you walk out the door here are greatly reduced. So you just got to give yourself some extra time. The dense fog advisory is in effect until 10 a.m. That's when it comes to an end. We'll replace the fog, though, with some spotty showers across the area as temperatures climb into the mid-40s by the noon hour. Here are those visibilities right now. Pay no attention to that donut you see there by the Columbus area. Just not getting an airport reading there. There's going to be some patchy fog there, too. And everybody's below a half a mile here. So just use caution on the roadways. As Alyssa told you, maybe in and out of it in some spots. But overall, it's a very, very foggy morning. Eventually, temperatures in the upper 40s this afternoon to the north, around 50 in the city, mid-50s in southern locations.
Todd, thanks. Spring is right around the corner and millions of Americans are starting to plan those springtime home projects.
Yeah, working for you, our John Matarese shows us which improvements will earn you the most money back come selling time so you don't waste your money.
Thinking of a home improvement project in 2020? Maybe a new kitchen or bathroom, or you decide it's time to finally build that sunroom you've always wanted. Well, you may want to know which projects will give you the best return on investment this year. It used to be that a kitchen upgrade was the best investment you could make, but thanks to Chip and Joanna and HGTV, other upgrades now top the investment list. Remodeling Magazine says the best return on your dollar is a new garage door. If yours looks like the 1970s, you'll get 98% of your money back at resale. Next is manufactured stone veneer in front of your house with a 97% return. Also, a new front door, returning 91% of your money. They're followed by a wood deck, basic kitchen remodel, siding replacement, and window replacement. And from the Doesn't That Stink file, the worst home improvements for your dollar, an upscale kitchen or master suite in a small, older house. You may only get back 50% of your $100,000 investment, which will have you saying, doesn't that stink? The problem, you have over-improved your house based on the neighborhood. In the end, all home improvement projects are good projects if they make you happy. Just know that some do better at resale times. You don't waste your money. Working for you, I'm John Matarese. Good morning, Indiana.
Now on Good Morning Indiana on this foggy Wednesday morning, here's a look at your 6:30 news feed. Carmel police asking for your help identifying a man who used a credit card that was stolen in a carjacking. Investigators say the two men stole a driver's vehicle and his credit card at gunpoint just after 7 on January the 3rd. You can report information about this crime to Carmel police at 317-571-2580. Out
in Richmond, Indiana, police are increasing their presence after officers found what appears to be a detonated explosive device at Glen Miller Park. Investigators say they found this device near a trash can on Tuesday. People who live in the area say they heard an explosion in that area Monday night. Richmond police are trying to figure out whether the device is connected to the blast.
The longtime athletic director and men's basketball coach at Franklin College is now the school's acting president. The Franklin College Board of Trustees appointed Carrie Prather to the position one day after firing Thomas Minor. Minor is facing child sex crime charges and was arrested in Wisconsin. Prather will hold the position while a search committee looks for a new president.
A statewide silver alert continues for a woman from Greenfield who's been missing now for more than a week. 52-year-old Deborah Gray, right there, was last seen on January the 7th. Police say she could be in extreme danger. She was last seen driving a black Nissan Frontier pickup truck with Florida tags. If you think you've seen her, you're asked to call Greenfield Police. That number, 317-477-4400.
Take it to the east side now. Several businesses in the area are trying to catch a repeat thief that's stealing truck batteries and costing them thousands of dollars. Twice this week, Brian Holloway of Advanced Office Logistics say batteries have been stolen from their trucks. Holloway says the thief got away with 12 batteries from his company in just the last week. At least 4 other businesses have also caught this suspect in the act.
Here at 6:32, it is a Storm Team 6 alert day.
Yeah.
And we do want to check on school delays. Those are at the bottom of your screen, more than 100, I believe, right now. And
Anderson,
it's all over.
Muncie, Franklin, anywhere you go, you won't be able to see this morning. Todd, help us, guide us through all this fog.
You know, it's widespread. Everywhere you go across central Indiana, no matter where you live, you're dealing with fog this morning. You're going to deal with it probably for another couple hours. It's not magically going to lift here in the next hour or so. So plan on the dense fog for your morning commute. If you had the Storm Shield app downloaded, you would have got an alert overnight to the dense fog advisory that is in place until 10 a.m. this morning. Here are your visibilities, and I know it's a bunch of numbers, but I always tell you, once you get below 1 mile, that's when you're starting to run into issues. When you get to a half half mile or lower, that's when you have big time issues, and that's where most of us are here this morning. 3/10 of a mile in Florida, 2/10 of a mile in Frankfort, 3/10 of a mile as you make your way over into the Muncie area. As you go down to the south here, the airport reading's not coming in here. The visibilities are not that good in Shelbyville, so pay no attention to that. 4/10 of a mile in Martinsville, only 2/10 of a mile in Bloomington. And as you look at the satellite picture, you can see the clouds are in place, but you don't see any precipitation. That is going to change later on this afternoon. So it's kind of a 1-2 punch for us. We deal with the fog this morning. As that starts to lift and move out, then we're going to start to bring in some scattered showers. Anything you see is going to be very, very light, and for some of you, it's just probably going to be some patchy drizzle. So I don't know if you really need to carry the umbrella around throughout the entire day today, but a jacket with maybe a hood will suffice as we go throughout the day as this drizzle starts to move in by mid-morning. So dense fog this morning through 10 a.m. Temperatures climb up into the 40s by the noon hour. At that point, though, we're starting to deal with some showers, and this forecast, honestly, the next couple days going to be very up and down. We'll lay it out for you coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, here is that dense fog you've been talking about, a view on the west side. If you look directly in the center of the screen, that is lanes of traffic, and you really can't see anything out there. So super dense over here on the west side. The good news right now, not checking any crashes or delays, but you will want to give yourself that extra time so you can leave plenty of space between you and the vehicles in front of you, because you're not going to be able to see them very well out there. Let's check in with Alyssa Donovan. She's been driving around in our live drive vehicle. Alyssa, where are you and how are conditions like where you're at right now?
So we are driving on East Washington Street, and we just passed Midhofer Road. We're on the edge of Marion County, approaching Hancock County right now, and we're kind of seeing some more of that denser fog as we approach the east side here. We've seen traffic lights are a little bit harder to see from a distance. It's harder to see some of those headlights just a little bit ways away from us, in front of us. So we have started to slow down a little bit on these side roads. Earlier this morning, we were out on some of those highways, and those didn't seem as bad in terms of how dense the fog was. It was a little bit easier to see out on the highways, but we did run into some patches of heavier fog, so just be aware of that. You're probably going to go in and out of some of these denser fog areas as you're driving around this morning. We have noticed a lot of people are using their low beams, which is good. Definitely want to use that as you head out on the roads this morning. I'll send it back to you in studio.
The state of our state is stronger than ever.
He says his agenda includes more job opportunities for people returning to the workforce from prison, creating the state's first adoption unit within the Department of Child Services, and taking steps to improve teachers' salary. The time now is 6:35, and Governor Holcomb, he offered a positive message in his State of the State address just months before he's seeking to win re-election. He says he has a way to get the additional pay teachers demanded when 15,000 of them, as you may recall, showed up at the State House demonstration just 2 months ago. But teachers and Democratic lawmakers are saying it's not enough. Last night, the governor revealed his response to the Red for Ed rally that happened as lawmakers were organizing back in November. He says the fiscal responsibility exercised by state government over the past several years can now be used to help send more money to teachers.
I'm recommending that in the next budget, the General Assembly uses an additional $250 million from our surplus and put it toward teacher retirement funds. In turn, $50 million a year will be generated to redirect to teacher pay.
But Democratic lawmakers and the state's largest teachers group says that is not enough. Senate Democrats rolled out a plan similar to the governor's just last week, but they say the difference under their plan, teachers would see that extra money this year.
So, you know, I was waiting and waiting for the big surprise, or the surprise, which I thought for sure was going to be that he found a way to get teachers a pay increase this year. But no surprise. You still have to wait.
The teachers' largest teachers group and union that led that Red for Ed rally also was not happy with the governor's pay plan. Here's what the president of the Indiana State Teachers Association had to say to RTV6. In part, we will continue to advocate for lawmakers to invest at least $75 billion this year to provide an increase to teachers' base salaries. Now, we do know that lawmakers are taking up some of the teachers' wish list this session. The House has already passed a bill that will bar the use of student standardized test scores as part of teacher evaluations. And the governor last night also called for more financial support for high school teachers who teach classes that offer students college credit.
Today, the State Board of Education will meet to decide on the future of 3 Indianapolis schools, T.C. Howe and Manual High Schools, plus Emma Donnan Middle School.
And this is a story that RTV6 has been following since November, when IPS first expressed interest in getting those schools back in their district. Our own Kelsey Anderson is joining us live this morning with a much closer look at today's vote and what that means. Kelsey, good morning.
Hey, good morning. So that meeting today is at 9 a.m. at the State Library, and that's where the School Board of Education is expected to make their final decision on those 3 schools. And what IPS wants to see is those schools back in their district. So earlier this month, IPS officials announced their plans moving forward with the 3 schools if the board does give them back. On the south side, Emma Donnan Middle School will be run by either Phelan Leadership Academy or Adelante Charter Schools. Manual High School will be operated by Crystal House Academy. And on the east side, Howe High School will close its doors for the 2020-2021 school year. And the district says there are potential plans, to reuse the facility in the future. IPS leaders say this plan has been years in the making, and Howe students will receive guaranteed enrollment into one of several of IPS's schools. So we've got an in-depth look at all 3 of those plans that the district has put in place if this goes through, plus a link where you can live stream today's meeting over on the RTV6 News app. I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
Kelsey, thank you so much. The time now is 6:39. It was another heated school board meeting in the Northwest Hendricks County School District.
It's about damn time that you guys started doing what's right, because this is getting completely out of control.
Very emotional there. Parents and community members continue to demand actions and answers from that school board. The district has faced months of criticism over the handling of a sexual misconduct claim against a teacher. And now the federal government is investigating whether the district properly handled sexual harassment reports involving students. Some people say they feel like the school board is not taking their concerns seriously. A public relations official representing the district says that is not the case.
Maybe you'll care when the federal government steps in and jerks all your money away because you're not doing the right thing.
I'm really concerned that you don't take your job seriously at all. You're not protecting the students.
There are issues that the community is concerned with, and we understand that. And although they may think they are not being heard, we are certainly giving them plenty of opportunities to be heard, and we're taking under advisement the kinds of things that they're concerned about.
So we have more details on this developing story. In a statement, that PR firm says the district is taking steps to make sure it's in compliance with Title IX. The board also held a reading of changes to the Parent Code of Conduct that are based on recommendations from attorneys with the Indiana School Board. You can read the full details of this complicated issue at theindychannel.com.
Right now at 6:41, we want to take another live look from our live drive vehicle. We're monitoring thick fog this morning. They've been traveling over 2 areas in our east, heading towards Hancock County. Want to let you know that we have more than 100 schools on delay due to the fog this morning, and that includes Eastern Hancock Schools and Greenfield Central Schools near this area. A number of big districts on delay this morning. Check those out on the RTV6 app in the bottom of your screen, and use caution if you're heading out on the roads this morning. We'll be right back after this short break.
Budget stretches further at Mattress Firm.
It's 6:44 on your Wednesday, and we're keeping a close eye on the dense fog out there this morning. It looks okay here over on the east side. They're hopping back on westbound I-70 to head back into the downtown area from Mount Comfort Road. Use caution. We have dense fog all across central Indiana this morning.
They feel very betrayed. You know, they put a lot of time into this community, volunteer time.
Major staffing changes happening at a fire department in Owen County, leaving a community divided. And now the Owen Valley is transitioning from having volunteer to paid firefighters, but not everyone is on board with how it's being handled. And some are even worried about the impact that this will have on safety.
Fewer and fewer young people, millennials, are interested in fighting fires and becoming volunteer firemen.
The way all this went down, there's 200 to 300 years worth of experience that they pretty much sidestepped and railroaded out the door.
The $60,000 stipend the previous volunteer firefighter group received each year to divide among volunteers is now being used toward paying salaries for Owen Valley staff firefighters.
It's about more than just finding a home. Sometimes it's about holding accountable those who are responsible for that housing. Next, the mayor says he has a plan to tackle a growing problem in Indianapolis.
And it's one of the hottest musicals on Broadway, heading right here to Central Indiana. And we want you to get right to the theater, get your own seats to watch it. Coming up after the break, your chance to win tickets to see Come From Away at Clues Hall. But first, let's check in with our Todd Clausen.
Yeah, it's a foggy morning commute across the area. Dense fog advisory in effect until 10 o'clock this morning. So we're definitely going to give you the red light for your morning drive here this morning as you'll encounter this fog. As we go into the afternoon hours, we'll switch it to the caution sign. There'll be some spotty showers, but at that point, the fog is gone. We'll talk both about the fog and the showers heading our way and much, much more coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes. The time now is 6:46. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
It's a Monday only at Ashley Home Store.
At 6:48, big dense fog is the big story this morning, so we want to check in with Alyssa Donovan in the passenger seat of our live drive vehicle. Alyssa.
Good morning. So we are on I-70 westbound approaching Post Road right now, and we've been sort of in and out of the denser fog across the central Indiana area. And right now it's not too bad, but you can see those cars headed our direction are actually seeing some of those foggier conditions. But right now we can see all of the headlights. Things are not too bad. We've seen some foggier conditions on some of the side roads. We were on Mount Comfort Road just a few minutes ago, and that area was very foggy. So if that's part of your morning commute, definitely give yourself some extra time. We could hardly see the headlights in front of us on that road. Definitely a day you want to give yourself extra time and also use those low beams as you head out the door. Send it back to you in studio.
Extra time indeed, Alyssa. Thank you so much. The time now is 6:49, and challenges with housing can contribute to the cycle of poverty and make it much harder for families to find a safe place to call home. And that's why Mayor Hogshead's office is launching a new initiative to help the city's most vulnerable residents. The Tenant Protection and Legal Assistance Initiative will provide resources for people dealing with housing challenges, including eviction, substandard housing conditions, and bad landlords. The program is a partnership between the Mayor's Office, Indiana Legal Services, Fair Housing Center of Central Indiana, and other community organizations. Mayor Hogshead will reveal more details of this program during a news conference later this afternoon.
All right, it is 6:50, and many of you are going to be heading out the door very soon, heading to work or school. We still have that dense fog advisory, and there is fog not only here in central Indiana, Todd, but across the entire Hoosier state.
Yeah, no matter where you are, you're in this dense fog advisory, with the exception of a few counties in extreme northern Indiana. So everybody watching here this morning is encountering dense fog as they walk out the door, and it's not going to lift until mid-morning. So the dense fog advisory is in place until 10 a.m. And look at some of these visibilities down to 0.2 of a mile in Kokomo, as well as the Sheridan area down in Zionsville, 0.2 of a mile next to nothing in Fishers, 0.3 of a mile in Gas City. We slide down to the south, 0.2 of a mile in Bloomington, a half mile in Columbus. And so anywhere you are, you'll be encountering this fog. As Alyssa told you, it gets a little thinner in spots, so that's important as you travel on the roadways, especially the interstates at some higher speeds. Just know that the visibilities will change as you cross the miles off for your morning commute. Temperatures are hovering right around freezing or just below in some areas, so there could be a few slick spots on some bridges and overpasses as well, but these temperatures should start to moderate pretty quickly here this morning, getting us above freezing, and then eventually highs today will be in the mid-40s to the north, mid-50s to the south, right around 50 degrees in Indianapolis. So it turns to another mild day for us. A normal high is 35 degrees, just not a bright day, as we'll deal with the fog this morning. And then this afternoon, we'll bring some rain showers in here. Not looking at a lot in the way of rainfall moving in, but you notice these spotty showers down to the south will start to lift to the north. Some of you probably only see a little bit of patchy drizzle, and that's about it. A few of you may see a heavier shower or two from mid-morning into the early afternoon hours. But once we get to 4 or 5 o'clock and then the evening drive, I think most of the precipitation will be out of here, but we'll still have that damp feeling around with all the clouds that are going to be in in place. Tomorrow, it's a much different day. One, it's a lot colder, but two, it's brighter. As we get the sunshine back finally, our temperature gets up to 36 degrees. The average high is 35. So while it is colder, it still will be right around average for this time of year. And then fast forward into Friday. Most of Friday is going to be just fine for your morning and evening commute. But once we get past the evening drive, there will be a wintry mix that starts to develop. And there could be some minor snow accumulation Friday evening. And then as we go into the overnight hours, the warmer air works its way in. And then we'll deal with quite a bit of rainfall that will be moving into the area overnight Friday into Saturday. Could see up to an inch of rain. Behind that storm system, a cold blast of air. We return to winter for much of next week, as high temperatures will be in the 20s by the time we get to Sunday and Monday, with low temperatures that will be down into the teens. So it's a very active and up and down forecast temperature-wise over the next 7 days. Lauren?
Todd, thanks. Here's a look at that dense fog on the west side. You can barely see anything here at I-465 and Rockville Road. Kind of a spooky view here on the west side. The only crash I'm monitoring right now is Southeastern Avenue and 5 Points Road. That is a crash with injury and an overturned vehicle reported. But let's take a look at what the roads look like from our live drive vehicle. Alyssa Donovan is in the passenger seat. Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, you guys. So we are on I-70 westbound approaching Emerson Avenue right now, and you can see traffic is picking up quite a bit compared to our last hit here, but we are getting a pretty good visual. We're not having any visibility issues right now. We've been in and out of this fog along the highway. We've been on I-70 and I-65. Both areas had some foggier patches here and there, so you definitely want to give yourself some extra time this morning because we are kind of in and out of that fog. Some of the more side roads have been foggier, so if that's part of your commute, you definitely want to be aware of that as well. I'll send it back to you in studio.
Alyssa, thanks. Be safe out there. It is the moment you have been waiting for. Right now is your chance to win 2 tickets to see the Broadway hit play Come From Away. The show is set for Tuesday, January 21st at Clues Memorial Hall. All you have to do is be the 6th caller right now at 317-269-1459. Good luck, and we'll be right back with one final check of your weather.
Visit the Hiring Hoosiers job board.
Dense fog here this morning. Use caution on the roadways on the Storm Team 6 alert day. The dense fog advisory in effect until 10 a.m. Once we get rid of the fog, we'll deal with some spotty showers throughout the afternoon hours. They should be very light with a high rate around 50 degrees.
And we have more than 100 school delays due to that fog, so check the RTV6 app. We're back in 25 minutes and they're out. Good Morning America.
We hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Stay safe out there.
We'll see you tomorrow morning.